My dad's will was like 10 years old, so he gave me a car. I mean, I didn't want anything anyways, but yeah, it was just like outdated.
Right. That's usually the problem. We believe in working middle class that all you need is a will. But when you the minute you own a property and you have kids that are under 18, you need a trust. The trust is what protects everything.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. All right, guys, from foster care to millionaire, we got Matt Schloss here today. Thanks for coming on, man.
Welcome, or thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, what a story. That's not a common one, man.
Yeah, well, I started my life out really in poverty. Just living downtown San Jose is where I was born, and in California. And my parents and I were kind of hopping around from hotel to hotel and living in different cars. And my parents were at that time doing their best. And from then on, I went into foster care like around the age of 4, and then from then till about age of 9 is when I was finally back with my parents. And that little span there kind of gave me a great view into what I don't want for my family.
Right.
So I use that now to inspire people rather than asking for pity or anything. It's more of like, your past doesn't define you. It can actually make you, and you can rise up from what people have gone through.
That's powerful. So age 4 to 9 in foster care system, you're really young at that time. Do you remember a lot of stuff?
I remember a good amount, most of the bad stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Foster care is not fun. And it also feeds into what I do today, helping people with trust and wills and making sure that less kids are going to foster care, because it's very bad and it's only gotten worse.
Dang. How packed was it when you were there?
Well, one family I lived with, they were taking care of like 4 kids.
Wow.
And I was one of them. And this was probably the worst family I was with. And I remember sitting there at dinner, and if you misbehaved, they would give you like cream of mushroom soup. I don't know if you've ever had cream of mushroom soup.
I've heard of it.
It's disgusting. It's gross. And so we would eat cream of mushroom soup, and everyone else would get McDonald's. And I remember sitting there, and I like scratched my head, and like lice and bugs fell on the table.
Holy crap.
And this lady looks at me and she's like, "You're disgusting, go take a bath." And I'm like, I'm freaking 5 years old. Like, I don't take my own baths,
Dang.
So I remember those types of things. And so that's a big passion for me, is why, I really want to make an impact in foster care and helping kids that age out. That's usually the worst time, is, nobody wants them. So now they're all left to their own device, and they got to figure out life from there.
That's crazy. And going back to your original family, I feel like that's pretty rare for the foster care system.
Which part?
Like you said, your family dropped you off at 4 and you reunited with them at 9?
I was taken away at 4.
Oh, taken away.
Yeah, me and my sister, we were both taken away at 4.
Because they couldn't afford having kids?
No, my parents had made some choices that were not good at that time.
Okay.
And luckily my parents, cleaned up and did what they needed to do. And I'm grateful for them. So then once they did what they needed to do, we went back to them at the age of 9. When I was 9, my sister was 4 or 5.
Got it. And you were still in a pretty poverty like area when you got back?
By the time I got back, my parents had done pretty well. They
nice.
got back into like a nice place. My dad and mom were both working, so they've done pretty well for themselves at that point. But nowhere near like upper class or anything. We're still very middle class.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from there you went through school and then eventually got into real estate?
No, actually. So I went into school, did a little bit. I played football for a while. Went to JC. And then from there, just kind of went into corporate America. Started working for Home Depot. Started working as like an operations manager for them for about 4.5, 5 years. Then started working for another company called Airgas and like their external sales. And then from there, got into finance.
Okay.
Yep. So working in life insurance, infinite banking, wills, family trusts, that kind of stuff.
That's a whole nother game. A lot of people don't get educated on that type of stuff.
No, they just basic money concepts. Like these things we should be taught in school, to be honest.
Sure.
And we're not, and it's really bad.
I know people that have passed away recently that don't have wills.
None.
And then the family scrambling and fighting. Some people just don't want any part of it.
Yeah,
like my dad's will was like 10 years old. So he gave me a car. I mean, I didn't want anything anyways, but yeah, it was just like outdated.
Right. That's usually the problem. We believe in working middle class that all you need is a will. But when the minute you own a property and you have kids that are under 18, you need a trust. The trust is what protects everything. And so we work with a group of lawyers that will, they work all across the U.S. and they'll help put those trusts in place, power of attorneys and wills and everything that you need. Because the other part about it is when someone's sick and they're in the hospital, well, your spouse can't always make those decisions for you. So that's where you have a power of attorney. So if you like the doctors would decide if the plug needs to be pulled or not.
Right.
And your spouse can't make that decision. It has to be the doctors unless you have that power of attorney. And so it's very, very vital to have that stuff. A lot of famous people have died without trusts. Prince,
Interesting.
Michael Jackson.
He didn't have one?
Nope.
Wow.
None of them did.
He didn't have an
Whitney
estate?
Houston.
That's crazy.
None of them.
That's actually really surprising because most of those big artists, I feel like, have them.
You would think they do. Some of them are starting to now. They're starting to see their friends pass away without it and what their families are having to go through.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are starting to get them. But it's just, again, it comes down to education and the people we're listening to.
The trusts are also good to have for business too.
Yes.
Protect your assets.
Very important.
A lot of people get sued at a high level, so to have it in a trust.
Yeah, you just take everything off of yourself, put it into a trust, and then you don't like you own everything, but it's not on paper.
Yeah.
So when you get sued or if something like that happens, I don't own anything.
It's on paper, I'm broke. If someone were to sue me right now, they would probably back out because they would see I have $1,000 in my bank account.
And that's the way it should be. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes me feel comfortable.
Good.
Because I used to keep everything in my personal name.
Yeah.
And that was just stupid.
Yep. It's not stupid. It's just, again, uneducated. Right?
Yeah.
It's where are we getting our information from? It's really what it breaks down to.
So walk me through your setup. Like you have an LLC, which you put in a trust. And then do you put all your companies and real estate and assets in that too?
Yep. So as we build and we tie everything into our trust. My son's in our trust. My business ownership is in our trust. Everything is around that. So again, like on paper, I look extremely broke. But when you look into and dive into what we own and what we have, it's all tied into a trust.
Nice.
And broken down.
And you got the health insurance in there too?
Yep. Everything.
And
Life insurance, everything.
That's something people don't get educated on also. The health and life insurance. Yeah.
You know, a lot of individuals, they build their estate. You know, when you get to a certain amount in your estate, it still can be tax-free when you pass it on to the family. But once you get to around 13, 14 million, if your estate is past that, everything past that threshold is going to be taxed. So now what you can do is you can create something called an ILIT, an irrevocable life insurance trust. And that ILIT holds a certain amount of insurance, and it can be cash value or term or whole life or whatever you want. And now if your estate grows to 20 million, that ILIT is removed from your estate. And so now that can be paid out to pay for any taxes that are left or, step up in basis on property or anything like that. So now the family can retain everything and not have a bunch of taxes.
Yeah. That's great to know because a lot of people can't even retire right now. They don't have enough money or they don't know the right information.
Yeah. A lot of people are retiring around 65 and have 200,000 sitting in a 401k.
That's not enough.
That's the meat. And nowhere near enough. That'll last you a year or two.
Yeah. You probably need a few million, right?
Right now, they're saying it's around 1.4 to 1.6 million, depending on what article you're reading. Some are even saying 3 million.
Jeez.
Because by the time, I'm 35, by the time, we get there, if you're in a deferred account, then you're going to need to wait for taxes to pay out. Like there's so much that goes into it.
Yeah.
So 1.4 to 3 million is what you need saved up by the time you retire now.
Crazy. I just saw a crazy article because of inflation. So we're going to need to make about $30 million, like me and you, to retire throughout our lifetime.
100%.
Isn't that crazy?
It's very crazy. And that's
30 million.
So we're working our butts off so we can make that happen.
I know. Like being a millionaire is not enough anymore.
It isn't.
I mean, it used to be in like the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Nope. Even then, like I think people now making 100,000, depending on where you live, you're barely getting by. Maybe a vacation a year.
Yeah.
And you're still stressed out. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and so I used to make about 100,000 a year. And now with the income we have, I look at that now and I go, dang, we got to turn that up even more.
Yeah.
So like our mentors and stuff, we talk about $1 million a month. What can we build to get to $1 million a month passive income?
Yeah. So you believe in passive income? Because there's some people that say it doesn't exist, especially with real estate.
Yeah. Well, real estate isn't passive. It's very active because you got to manage the house. You got to fix the things. Like there's so much that goes into real estate. It's very hard to make it passive. Passive is something where it can run itself without you being involved and you still generate income. That's passive income. So we're building a business in the finance industry and we have almost 100 licensed agents across the U.S. So now that my business partners are going out and helping families, and then the agency is delving out passive income for that.
Got it.
Right. So I'm not necessarily sitting with someone while they're helping a family; they're taking care of them, and then the company pays out overrides and spreads for that part of the business. So we want to grow to 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 licensed agents all across the U.S. Now that's 100% passive income.
Right. That's what PBD did, right? And Ed Milet.
Yep. And Ed Milet.
Yeah, they crushed it. I think PBD sold.
He did.
And Ed Milet, I don't know if Ed sold, but
he has not.
It's worth a lot of money.
He's working on walking away from the industries, but he's in and out again. But that's pretty much what he did, and PBD for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't plan on selling though. We're gonna build it big. Yeah.
You don't ever want to sell?
No, I want to pass it on to my kids.
Wow.
I want to give it to them. I want to build something so big that it's for the next 10, 15 generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that take. I mean, it depends on the kid.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully. Bennett, you're watching this, you better behave.
Yeah. Because there's some generations where I don't know what happens, but they can't hang.
The mental toughness these days, it's not there.
Yeah.
Like I call it the snowflake generation, and I want to get offensive on here, but it's just, you know, I think about mental toughness and really what mental toughness is. It's doing the things you need to do regardless of how you feel. It's winning in spite of what you're going through in life. And most people now, when you look at, like, go back 100 years, go back 200 years, you know, for us to eat and get water, like, it wasn't as easy as it is now.
Right.
Like, if you have family, they're depending on you for 2-3 weeks going out there. You got to go hunt. You got to go get the meat. You got to bring it back, right? And when you bring it back, you put this meat right in front of the fireplace, and your family's jumping up and down. They're excited, and now you're prepping it, and now you're cooking, and the mental toughness of that is a whole nother level compared to what we're used to now.
Right.
Where now you can just order food right to your room.
Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
And
yeah, it's definitely gotten easier. I feel like with every generation, it's gotten easier and easier to live.
Yeah.
And now we're overeating, doing a bunch of stuff, and we're getting unhealthy. I don't know. We'll see if it keeps getting softer.
Yeah, it's very soft right now.
It is.
And it's hard to build a business with that, because now you're trying to find those that aren't snowflake soft. And
you know what
I mean? So
that mentality's getting tough to find.
It is.
It really is. I don't know why I had it at a young age, because my parents were both immigrants, so maybe I just subconsciously picked up on their work ethic. But I always had a pretty locked in mindset. Yeah.
People that come from different countries, like my wife is from Bosnia. Her parents are from Bosnia. They're born and raised there. Their mental capacity on working and getting things done is it's completely different than people that I know here.
Yeah.
That are born here.
Yeah. No, for real. Because I just had a guest on yesterday, and he grew up in a rich family. He's doing well, but his brother's homeless.
Oh my goodness.
So just because you're born in money doesn't mean
it's true.
You're going to end up well.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, my son doesn't know he's born into money.
Oh, he doesn't?
He's not going to know he has money until I want him to know it. Like, when he asks for something, he's like, Dad, we can just buy this. I said, no, son, I can buy it. You have no money. This is our money, right? Like,
yeah.
So he doesn't even know he has all the plans we have in place for him. He has no clue, right? So we're already working with him on a few things on how to understand money. Like, he wanted to do chores for money. I said, every chore you do, son, I'll give you $1. Every book you read, I'll give you $3.
Nice.
So now it's more about him starting to read books, and he actually likes to read.
Yeah.
So now he'll make $3 per book. And so we're working on teaching him money, and more about service for money, instead of like, hey, do this job or do this thing as like an employee and we'll give you money. More of like, hey, if you go over to grandma's and you help her and you give her some service, then she'll give you some money. Right. So now it's teaching him more about like entrepreneur spirit instead of employee minded.
I like that. Yeah. PBD does something similar.
Yep.
Yeah. The books, if you're reading at that age, I mean, you're going to be next level.
Yeah. He's 6. We found out he could read. We were in Canada on listen to this. This blew my mind. So we were in Canada on a business trip, and my wife's finishing getting ready, and I'm standing by the door with my son, and we have this wall with like a fire like hose on there, right? And my son starts reading, in case of emergency, break glass. And at this time, he's like 4.5. I'm like, are you kidding me? So I tell my wife, come out here. He does it again. And then he starts kindergarten a year later, and he's reading in kindergarten. The teacher's like, did you know your son could read at 5? And we're like, yes, we knew that. So we've just been working with him and letting him, watch things that have subtitles and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So he's just
Dude,
learned how
that's
to read.
impressive, because 90% of the brains form 0 to 6.
Yep.
So he's going to be a genius.
Yeah.
That's
we'll
cool. I don't even know when I started reading, but yeah, 5 sounds really young.
It's very young.
That's before kindergarten, right?
It is.
Yeah. I don't think I started till probably kindergarten, 1st grade.
Yeah. I don't remember when I started reading. I can still barely read.
Yeah. What do you think about traditional retirement stuff like 401ks and IRAs?
Yeah. This is one thing that I'm heavily fighting against, because when you look up and you start looking at most or the majority of 401ks and IRAs and traditional plans, they're failing. They're failing Americans. I look at my parents. It wasn't for a lack of saving into the plan. It's for the operation and how it works. It makes money, it loses money. It makes money, it loses money. When you run the math of the S&P 500 over a 30, 40-year time frame, the average over the last 40 years from 1982 till 2023, probably 10.4%. But when you break down the actual rate of return somebody's gotten inside that plan, it's not 10.4, right? That the money doesn't add up to what the markets have done, because it can lose money. So My main gripe with it is it's oversold, right? It does not produce what people are telling you it's going to produce. It's heavily loaded in fees. When you break down the fee structure of a 401k, you're going to be paying more, just as much in tax and fees than anything else.
Wow. I didn't know they had fees.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The average in the industry is between 1.5% to 2%.
A year?
Yeah, a year.
Damn.
And that comes directly out of your account value.
I didn't know that.
Now, if you're managing your own 401k, then there's no fee.
Okay.
But if you have someone else helping you with it, it can get up there. There's a Forbes article that was written. I'll send it to you. You can add it. But there's a Forbes article that was written that says it can actually go up to 3.4 to 5% in fees if you're not actually managing it the right way.
Jeez.
And it can add up. So you're talking 500,000 to 800,000 up to $1 million, and depending on how much you're putting in there, just in fees during your working years. And that comes directly out of the account value. But you see, this is what most traditional advisors won't tell you because that's their income. I get to charge you a percentage whether you make money or lose money.
Right.
Then these people retire and they go, you can only live off about 4%, Sean. That's it. 4% of your millions, which you're going to be able to take out to make sure you don't run out of money. That's called the 4% rule.
Yeah.
That's 40 grand a year.
That's tough.
That's poverty almost.
Yeah, that's not enough.
Like, think about when we're 65 years old. Do you want to live off 40 grand a year?
Definitely not.
Before tax. By the way, you still got to pay tax on that.
Oh, definitely not then. So maybe 25.
Correct. Right. Who knows where tax will be in the future. So my main gripe with it is not that it's bad for people, because it can work. It can get people to retirement. The problem with it is when you go to retire, you're going to live off 4%. You got to make sure your money isn't in the markets anymore because it can still lose. And will that money be there for life? Right. That's the main thing that people are worried about when they get to retirement is how much money am I going to have for the rest of my life?
Right.
That's why, building a business is so powerful, because if my business continues to pay me into my 70s and 80s, I don't need to worry about anything.
Yeah. So other than your business, what are you investing in right now? Any real estate, stocks, crypto?
No, I'm mainly right now, my wife and I and our family, we're heavily into index universal life. So we're putting, close to 150, 160,000 a year into index universal life. I'm not making any move on real estate right now. The way that I was kind of raised was, focus on one thing until successful, focus. And so I'm focused on building this business until, it's passing us into $1 million a month. Then I'm going to start looking at those real estate things, because at the end of the day, real estate's not going anywhere.
That's true.
Right. It's going to be here for a long time. So I'm not worried about real estate. I'm not really getting into that. I want to focus on one thing until successful. With that, I also want to make sure I'm focusing on our business partners, getting them to $1 million a year and helping them. So right now, no real estate for us. We're focused on, stuffing as much money into our IUL, so let that grow tax free. And then when the time comes, we can pull cash from that and go buy real estate or make moves or whatever we want.
Got it.
I do have some stocks that I dabble into. So I have some Amazon stock, right? And I do have a Dynatech fund inside of a mutual fund. So I have some inside of the deferred markets, but most of my money is going into properly structured IULs.
Got it. And that's basically a legal tax loophole, right?
It's a life insurance contract, pretty much. So you're putting your money into a cash value life insurance. It's growing tax-free. You can borrow that money out at any age without tax, without penalty. That's how I bought this Rolex.
Really?
Yeah.
So you took a loan out against your balance?
Yep. And that 45 grand is still earning interest right now.
Really?
Yep.
What the heck?
So you're collateralizing against the life insurance contract, and the death benefit becomes the collateral. So knock on wood, if something were to happen to me right now, that would turn into a life insurance policy, pay out tax-free, and the loan would get paid off.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So these have been around for a long time, right? So the tax codes around life insurance has been around since the 1800s. Like it started with whole life and then evolved and got better. And then the government saw how people were using it. So then they kind of put these 3 guidelines around it, TEFRA, DEFRA, TAMRA, and all these other tax codes around it to make it not so someone can just shove 10 million into it and it's all tax free now.
Right.
So they have guidelines and stipulations around it. But
so there's limits.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, and it's
How
all
much
based
can
on
you,
income.
it's based off your income.
Yep.
So like a percent.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you make 100K, you can only put in X amount.
Exactly. Yeah, based on your age and how much you make, it'll pretty much decide the amount of death benefit you can have.
Got it.
And that's what dictates how much can go in per year.
And is this infinite banking?
It's a form of it. Yep.
Got it.
So infinite banking is a concept, not a product, right? A lot of people get it confused. A lot of whole lifers will go, oh, you can only do it with whole life, right? And we do use whole life a lot. We have a lot of clients that use whole life for infinite banking, but it has its purpose, and IUL has its purpose. IUL can do exactly what whole life does in the infinite banking space, because now they have a lot of like fixed indexes you can use where you get 3 or 4%, just like you would in a whole life policy, right? The difference is that an IUL can grow an average 8, 10, 15%. I mean, we have clients that have gotten 61% returns in their IULs before.
Damn, in a year?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
In a year. So that's something a whole life policy will never do, right? And the other side of that is that 61 or 15 or 8% that person earned, Now they have contractual guarantees to never lose money. So even if the market went backwards the following year, their gains and the money they put into it's guaranteed not to go backwards. So that's why we put a lot of money into them, because we have the leverage. We won't lose any of our principal. We won't lose any of the value it's earned. And if anything happens to me, my wife and son are more than taken care of.
Nice. Are you using any debt right now, or you don't believe in debt?
No, I do believe in debt. I think, because when I've loaned from a policy, it becomes debt technically. And then it does keep earning interest, right? Because if I pass, the debt gets paid off for my death benefit.
Got it.
So it is a form of debt in the policy. I think using debt, if you do it the right way, like I think Robert Kiyosaki has it nailed down. If you're using debt the right way, it's a solid way to really build a nest egg, really build your net worth.
So how did he build that $1 billion real estate portfolio? Was it all debt?
All debt, all OPM, other people's money.
Interesting.
Right? And so he's just building it and building it with other people's money. And it's a smart play. I mean, would you rather borrow the bank's money and pay them back? Or would you rather borrow someone else's money, go into debt and pay them back? I'd rather borrow someone else's money.
Why?
Because I can pay you back sooner and it's going to be less interest.
Oh, because the interest is lower?
Yeah. We get to dictate the interest together.
Got it.
Right?
That's seller financing.
Right. So the other part of it is, like, I have a guy that uses his IUL. Before, he would help people start businesses and he would help them open a credit card. Right? So open a credit card, start your business. I'll help you pay it back down. Well, now he started an IUL, and 2 years in, because he's been funding it. So now 2 years in, he'll pull money out and he'll go, here you go, Sean, here's your money to go start your business. But now you got to pay me back with interest. What do you want to do? 5%, 6%? He lets them pick, because he knows that money is going to stay in his IUL and keep earning interest. He's in debt, right? Someone else is now in debt to him technically. Yeah. But now they're gonna pay him back with interest. They write it all out. It's all in contractual writing. It all goes back into his IUL. Rinse and repeat.
That's cool. What's the interest on an IUL typically?
On the loan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it depends on the company, because all carriers are different. But on average, you're looking at 3 to 5% simple interest.
That's pretty low.
It's very low.
These days, especially.
I mean, at a bank, it's going to be compounding interest. And they're going to tell you got to pay it back in 7 years. In an IUL, if I take out, let's just say 10 grand, and my charge is 5%, it's $500 for the entire year that my charge is. It's very low.
Yeah, that's super low.
Yeah, it's almost nothing.
Yeah, if you reinvest that in the right spot, I mean.
Exactly. As long as you put it somewhere you know you're going to get more than 5% simple, which is pretty much anywhere, then you're good to go. But the IUL also will pay on that loan too.
Wow. Yeah. Really cool, man. Yeah, you can really, the compound on this must be insane once you're in like year 10, year 20.
Yeah, especially if you're funding it a lot, like we're putting 150, 60,000 into ours a year. Looking up 5 years from now, that thing's gonna be in the millions.
Damn.
We started one for we have 3 for my son. So he can't watch this part of the interview. But we have 3 for my son, and we started one the minute he was born, and then we have 2 more as he got older. And now we pay him $1,000 a month, and he helps with the business and all that capacity. So we get a write off for him as well. But all his money goes into IULs too. So his projection is like 3 to 4 million by the time he's 18 to 20 years old.
You're breeding a trust fund, baby.
That's right. He won't know about it, but yes, we are. And again, it comes from me being in foster care, man. Like I want to build something that my son can take over the right way when he's of age, and he'll understand money, he'll understand business, he'll understand all of that, so that by the time comes, he'll be able to kind of take over a business pretty well.
Yeah. How do you think the foster care system can be improved?
I mean, you got to think about the foster care system as a business.
Right.
If you want to take on foster kids, you want income for that.
So you get paid?
Oh, yeah. The state pays you.
Interesting.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the state pays you to be a foster parent. You got to go through all these interviews and stuff, and you got to qualify. And once you do, they'll pay you to take on kids. So the more kids they hold, the more money they make from the state.
Wow. So the parents don't give a about the kids then, for the most part.
Most part. I had a few good foster parents when I was with them, but the majority of them, they do not give a
And there's no contract on how long they have to have the kid. They could just return it at any time.
No, they got to keep the child until either the child gets removed for a cause, or the kid goes back with their parents.
Oh, wow.
So the foster parents can say, hey, this kid's a problem. I don't want him anymore. And the state will go, well, you got to figure that out.
Okay.
So that's where my parents came in, because when you're in foster care, you have supervised visits. So I get to be with my parents in a room with a social worker watching, taking notes.
Oh, got it.
It's very awkward.
That is awkward.
Yeah,
it's like a prison almost.
Lightweight. Yeah. So they're sitting there watching, and I would tell my parents, like, hey, this family is just, they're being bad mom. They're not taking care of me. They're not showering me. I showed her like my hair, because they cut my hair. They buzzed it. And so then they would report back to the social worker, and then if more keeps coming up, then they'll remove them from the house. But
got it.
Yeah, they're working for income. They're doing this for pay. So sometimes they don't really give a about the kids, and sometimes they do.
Interesting.
But the biggest problem with it is not that. I get it. If you're taking someone else's kid in You should get compensated for that. But at the end of the day, you should be helping that child's life get better, not worse. They're already going through so much.
Right.
So the problem with it is I don't think there's enough checks and balances on those families as the kids are there, because I don't remember any surprise visits while I was there from the state coming to check in and to see the quality of the house, see the quality of the kids. Like, I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, they should do that once a month.
At least, and it should be surprised. You don't know when they're going to show up.
Right.
Right. And then if they see that, things are going bad, because that's neglect, that's abuse, right? So you're going from one home where they want to protect you into another home where you're just getting neglected and abused again.
Right.
At least in my experience, right? I can't say it for all of them, but that was my experience.
Were you and your sister together?
No, we were together at first with one family. I don't remember the name, but we were with one family together first, and then my mom went to an all-ladies facility, and then my sister was able to go back to my mom.
Oh, got it.
Yep.
So she was there before you got back with them?
Yeah, my sister was with my mom the whole time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, my dad was in an all-men's facility as well, getting rehab and everything.
Yeah.
And then once they were better and they did everything they needed to do to prove to the state that they were better, we were put back with them.
Nice, man. It's cool to see you break the cycle and, get into wealth now.
Yeah, I
really
appreciate
cool.
that. Yeah.
I love that. You have a quote, your why should make you cry. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming it relates to this story.
Yeah, it really it comes down to a few things. One is my son and my wife. Everything I do is for them. And it used to be, I want to take care of my parents. I want to take care of my family, and that's still part of it. But once you have a child and you have someone like a spouse that has your back 100%,
Yeah.
like my wife and I've been through so much within business, with outside of business, and the whole time she's just been there. And the foster care side of it is a part of that why too. I want to make a huge impact in the system to where it doesn't need to be so stressful for these parents, because I know they get underpaid by the state. So there's things that can be done for these foster parents. But the biggest part of my why really at the end of the day is making my son and my wife's life better. What my wife went through when she lived in Bosnia, and I'm grateful that she was able to make it over here. Like, I can't not do something in my life that's going to improve her life, improve my son's life, improve her parents' life and my parents' life, and for generations to come. And so when you're really diving into why do you want to get into real estate? Why do you want to start a podcast? Why do you want to get into finance? It's got to be bigger than just money.
Yeah.
It has to be. Because if it's just money, once you reach that pinnacle of the money you wanted, you're no longer going to want to do this anymore. And then everything you built, all the value you brought to other people is just going to go away.
Right.
So you have to have a why that's ever evolving. Once you reach a goal, you got to have that why that's there to where it can push you past that to build another goal. So yeah, your whys, they've got to be bigger than just money. It's got to be bigger than objects and things, because that fades.
100%. You reach a certain level of wealth and it doesn't even matter anymore how much more you make.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
So it's got to be way bigger than money and fame and all that other stuff.
Absolutely. You view business competition very interesting. I'd love to hear you explain it.
Yeah. I'm a competitive person at heart. We actually had a business meeting right before I came over here. And the last thing we do is we talk about, who's going to be the MVP of the group, who's going to take over and who's going to win. And when you can put competition into business, but you got to do it the right way, because there's a wrong way to do competition and there's a right way to do competition. The wrong way is like, I'm going to take your firstborn, I'm going to burn your house down, and I'm going to beat you to whatever the goal is, right? That's the wrong way of doing it. The right way of doing it is, let's collaborate. I'm still going to beat you. What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to get done? Let's run it together, but I'm going to beat you. And it's being communicative with somebody that you're competing with, right? It's like, hey, we just made 10 grand. We just made 10 grand today. What did you make? And they go, we made 3. Gotcha. Beat you, right? Oh, but I'm going to beat you next month, or whatever it may be. So competition in business is more about collaborating with somebody to where you push them to get to their goals, but at that same time, you're pushing yourself to beat them still, right? So competition in business nowadays, it's just evolved so much, and we use it in our business a lot around, just having stupid qualifications like, if you get XYZ done in your business this month, you qualify to go on a small trip. You get XYZ done in this business, you qualify to go do this with somebody, or a one-on-one mentorship with me, something like that.
Yeah.
And now you have a group competing for it. And those that didn't make it, now you have the bragging rights to go, I beat you, I got you, right? And usually it's on a football field or a soccer field or some type of sports arena. But when you can bring that same type of competitive spirit into business, it'll either help you excel or it won't. And those that aren't competitive, it comes down to a few things. One, they don't believe in their abilities or themselves enough that they can actually go compete and beat other people, right? That's usually the biggest one, is self-belief. Or two, self-doubt. You just doubt yourself way too much that you can't even compete. You just don't think you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And so when you can kind of get past the self-belief, the self-doubt, and start competing vocally and verbally and publicly, that's when you can start to have a different form of business, and it can actually create a business explosion. No
I
matter what
love
you're
that.
doing.
Dude, I'm so competitive. I think I get it from sports.
Yeah.
It's probably the best thing I took away from sports, but it helps so much in business.
It does.
Instead of viewing people as like enemies, I just view it as friendly competition.
Yep. And you want to smoke them.
Yeah, I want to smoke every single podcast.
Exactly.
But in a good way. I don't want them to like fail.
No.
I just want to beat them.
That's exactly the point, right? If you're competing with someone so much and you're like, I want to smoke you, but I still want you to go win. Right? Let me know what I can do to help you and what I can do to support you. If you need if there's any tips or tricks I can give you, let me know, right? And when you help that person without anything, like not expecting anything back, but in your mind you still go, I'm gonna still smoke this person. I'm still gonna beat you because I know they're not gonna take my advice. I know they're not gonna do anything with this. That's when the competition starts to change and it starts to elevate and separate you from everybody else.
Yeah.
Because nobody else wants to help anybody.
That's true.
They just compete in silence and they don't want to help anybody. But when you compete out loud and you say, hey, I'm here to help you though. Whatever you need, let me know because I want you to go win. I want you to do great for your family. I still want you to go have a great podcast. I'm just gonna beat you though. At the end,
I
right?
love that, dude.
It just makes it so much more fun, more collaborative. And then if they go win too, great. If they beat you to the goal, great. They beat you, but guess what? You're right behind them still. So did you really lose?
Right.
No. You're still chasing them, right? You still hit your goal. It's like this. If my goal this year is to go make $1 million a year, and your goal is to go make $1 million a year, and I finish at 900 and you finish at $1 million, did I lose?
No.
No. I made 900 grand this year still. Who
Yeah.
cares? You still win major million, but now next year it's on. Let's do it again, right? Now I'm gonna go beat you to 2 million this year.
Right.
So it's really about being collaborative, and that competitive spirit makes business so much fun.
Absolutely. Perspective. Matt, it's been fun. Where can people learn more about the insurance stuff and get your help?
Yeah, so I have I'm the Money Mythbuster on Instagram and TikTok and on Facebook. So it's money.myth.buster, and that's where you can find a lot of my content. You can share it out there with anybody. You guys can reach out to me there as well. But those 3 main platforms are where I'm at right now.
Perfect. Link below. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.